So, you see the title of the video, is dry fasting increasing your vibrational frequency and affecting the frequency of the people around you? What I mean by this is that as you dry fast, you begin to let go of attachments. Because of that, your vibrational frequency begins to accelerate higher. This causes your vibration to rapidly increase, and that changes your experience of reality. It changes your experience of time and space. Time and space begins to accelerate. Everything begins to manifest faster because you have accelerated yourself. Time accelerating means things manifest faster in reality, and there's less experience of time. Space accelerating means that space is actually collapsing, becoming smaller. This is like the whole universe is being pulled closer to you as your consciousness expands. The more your consciousness expands, the more the universe shrinks. So dry fasting accelerates time and collapses space. This together manifests reality faster. As you speed up your frequency or expand the light inside of you, you begin to glow and shine bright with light. That light begins to affect all of the things in your life. The first thing it affects is your home, since this is your living space and you spend the most time here. It will even affect things like your personal cars or trucks, that if you change your frequency enough, you will either find yourself cleaning or restoring your car, and in some cases, driving a completely different car that better matches your new frequency. The light expanding from you will affect the places where you spend most of your time, your place of work, your home, the things surrounding you, and the people surrounding you. It will also affect the people you spend the most time with, or should I say, those who you have the most conscious awareness of in the forefront of your consciousness. When you increase your vibrational frequency with fasting, you begin to accelerate the frequency of the magnetic field of the environment, and also the magnetic field of the people in that environment. This is how you can drive out unwanted dark spirits or demonic entities from your home or the places you work or the places you frequent the most. But we'll explore more about that in future videos. So, because you are increasing the rate of vibration of the atmosphere around you, that begins to accelerate the frequency of everyone around you. That causes everyone to begin releasing their own negative emotions in the atmosphere. This causes the manifestation of challenging events that challenge the darkness inside of yourself and those around you. It becomes a collective experience. That's how powerful we are. That one person fasting can change the experience of events. Not only is it the people around you releasing these emotions, but you are the initiator by going into the fast and causing the change by the super consciousness to set the stage for these changes. And the people around you will feel like they are under a lot of pressure. That pressure is squeezing the negative emotions up to the surface and forcing them to face themselves. Now, while I've been in the fast, I've been able to observe a lot of experiences and changes that happen to the people in my life. I've seen those who are under pressure, and I've seen the people who've had a tough time with that pressure. with those emotions rising up from within themselves. And this wasn't one or two people being affected, but it was the entire environment everyone was subjected to. I found that the people who handled those emotions better raised their frequency along with me, and they stayed in my reality for the most part. Because life changes in this way, I've been able to sometimes accurately identify those who suffer the most from emotional pain or any kind of pain. Now, before this pain is known, it's lying dormant inside of them, and something breaks open and they can't put it back in. They have to deal with it. The people who I've seen handle their issues and problems better, or learn how to overcome it, stay in my reality experience, and their frequency increases. Their default level frequency rises higher as they dealt with those limiting beliefs and emotions. But those who aren't able to deal with those emotions seem to have more anxious feelings to get away, which, unknowingly to them, they are trying to get away from you, the focal point of this expanding light, and they are pushed further outside of your conscious awareness. Basically, they move further away from the expanding light coming from you, which stops those emotions from coming to the surface. If they aren't able to deal with them, they don't stay in your reality long. Just as people move further out of your reality, others can move closer into your reality, but that's a different subject for another video. This has been a repeating experience of my life from fasting. I've observed this happen many times. Before I tell you about the main story I want to share with you, I'll tell you about a person I've seen grow and overcome their fears, and this person is still in my reality. So I met Samuel about 8 years ago when we started working together. I had already been working at this place for around 3 years. In my job, we deal with a lot of people. Sometimes there are crowds of people in one place. I wasn't the only one who noticed this, but when we were around crowds of people, Samuel had extreme anxiety. He had crippling anxiety. I suppose he was more introverted as well because he preferred to work out at night in an empty gym. A few of the co-workers of ours noticed this. This is how I learned about it. There were certain people who he didn't have a good relationship with. He tried to have friendships with some of these people that didn't necessarily respect him. I could see he was putting in effort to make friends. So I decided to share a few things about the law of attraction and meditation with him. Not a lot, just to point him in the right direction. As I kept improving myself with fasting, I watched as he tried to make improvements to himself as well. He might go on a diet to lose weight, or started going to the gym. One thing he discovered was, if he ate a whole grapefruit, it made him feel calm, and it calmed his anxiety. So he would always bring about 2 of these full-size grapefruits to work and eat them during the night. I knew then he was making changes, though over the years he would have issues and problems with certain people. As I continued my fasting, I watched as the emotional issues were revealed in these people as well, and I saw his spiritual strength get stronger as these people left our reality. Now, fast forward all the way to the present day. I just noticed the other day that he no longer suffers with certain anxieties, like being around a lot of people. He seemed well and in charge of himself. He handles pressure situations better. However, there are still some challenging times, but his confidence has grown and he's overcome certain fears he previously had. I can tell he's more sure of himself nowadays. His vibration has increased. He has steadily increased his default level frequency. The main story I want to share with you is about a woman named Laura, since these events are still fresh in my mind. I met her about 3 years ago. Before that, she had been working a few years in a different department, so I never really knew who she was until she came to work in our department, and then I got to know her really well. When I met her, she had been in a relationship for 6 years. Everything seemed normal and I didn't suspect a thing. I thought they would be together forever. I first met her in the summer of 2022 when she came to work in our department. Now, this is relevant to the story. During and after the pandemic, I had a hard time fasting. And from 2022 to 2024, I struggled to be able to do longer dry fasts past 4 days. But I learned that reality is still slowly progressing forward. And in May 2024, I would make a breakthrough in my fast and accelerate my reality. That month, I did one 9-day fast, with the first 5 days being completely dry, and the next 4 days fasting on lemon water. I then finished a 5 to 6 day pure dry fast. Then I did another 5-day dry fast. I had done 3 fasts back to back to back. Between those fasts, I ate for about 4 to 5 days, then began the next one. I didn't stay around to see the results. Right after those fasts, I went on vacation to Peru for around 11 days or so. Before I left, I was aware of the fact that Laura's mom was in the hospital and she was sick. By the time I got back to work, she had told me the bad news. Her mom had died and the boyfriend had cheated on her with another woman. I was in shock. I had never suspected anything to be wrong in their relationship. Everything seemed to hit all at once. The mom dying, the boyfriend cheating. I immediately knew what all of this meant after hearing this. I had some very good emotional cleansing during those fasts, as I combined it with other practices to better help cleanse my emotions. Now, Laura was very close with her mom. She was practically the only thing she had. She had complained to me before about being alone at home because Mike was working all the time. I also want to note that I had learned some things from Laura. I was able to let go of some preconceived limited beliefs once I got to know her. How did those fasts affect us? As those fasts humbled me and allowed me to release some negative emotions, Laura was also humbled, and her world was opened wide up. This is when I knew Laura needed some deep healing and was holding on to a lot of negative emotions inside. That's when I identified her as a target, that when I fast, she will be the one that's most affected by it. Laura would ask me for advice on many things. I often gave her advice, and later I'd hear about her doing certain things I had recommended. One thing I started to teach her was the basic principles of learning to love herself and treating herself with love, doing things for herself and not being dependent on another person. I saw her put in a lot of effort and change over time. She still struggled a lot with some things, like the feeling of loneliness and her weight issues. She taught me some things as well, And I can see how she has helped me to become more confident in other ways, which she probably doesn't even know. She always challenged me in ways she doesn't realize, and that has helped my own spiritual evolution. And as I fully learned the lessons she had to teach, that's when our realities began separating. By this time, we were really good friends. Perhaps there were romantic interests there, but for many reasons, that never happened. I know that Laura had bouts of depression here and there from the loss of her mother. She often cried at home alone from loneliness. The fast had really opened her up and made her vulnerable by stripping her naked. Another interesting observation I noticed is that whenever I went into a fast, she became more vulnerable and would all of a sudden feel depressed, tired, and lethargic. And she just felt exposed. But whenever I was not fasting, I was physically strong. She was calm and relaxed, as though my energy was protecting her in some way. After those 3 fasts, I was unable to fast to that degree for the next year or so. I was so busy working and doing overtime, my mind and spirit was too weakened. Though things kept progressing but slowly, and I managed shorter fasts of 1 to 3 days. Towards the end, the pressure kept building in our reality, and it wouldn't let up. Our supervisor was always nitpicking with us, and overall just making terrible decisions. Finally, one day she told me she requested to change teams. Now usually this takes a while, like a year or longer, before another position becomes available. But this happened in 1 month. She was offered another spot. I wasn't at all surprised by this. We used to communicate a lot more and talk about things, and I saw her on a regular basis. Since then, the communication is a lot less, and I don't see her very much. Like she is further outside of my conscious awareness, or on a different earth, in a different parallel reality, in a different frequency. Ultimately, I think we learned whatever we needed to learn from each other and healed from those things and released those limiting beliefs and emotions that tethered us into the same reality experience. And through the fast always accelerates things. It accelerated the learning and the lessons that we had to teach each other. And what I see happening around me is more and more people that are compatible with my true core frequency are finding their way into my reality. Although the fast accelerates reality, your true core frequency is always progressing into higher frequencies or lower frequencies. And reality is always changing. Although the fast accelerates reality, your true core frequency is always trying to progress into higher frequencies. And reality is always changing, just at a slower pace. It took 3 years from the time she fully entered my reality and then left my reality. From the people that enter your life, you can learn as much as you can, and that helps you to keep growing. As teachers and students disappears, and the next teachers and students appear. But there is a conscious component to it as well. You can choose to keep certain relationships or let them go. I hope this helped you to understand how fasting affects you as well as others, and I'll have more stories to share.